Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new video. Car's been hanging out here. We getting some rain this week, so it's gonna be chilling in here. But what I wanna do in this video is actually change up the radar. So if you guys don't know, I have been a very big fan of the Uniden R7. I have been running that radar for quite some time. I wanna say the last 3 years or so, 2-3 years. And I absolutely love it. The range on that thing is insane. The thing paid for itself tenfold, probably more than that. And I am in love with that radar. Now, I've tried quite a few others in the past. I started with the brand Cobra back in the day when I was much younger, when I first got my license. I honestly don't even think they're really that big anymore, if it exists at all anymore, I'm not sure. Then I moved on over to Valentine. So I did the Valentine 1, ran that in my E46 M3, as well as my WRX back in the day. Love that. But then eventually sold it when I sold that car, when I sold the E46, and then I started trying Uniden a little while later. So I first got into Uniden. I started on the lower end. I started with the DFR7. I ran that for a little while and I was really happy with it. One of the things I loved about that radar and my first experience with it was that it had memory. So if you muted an alert when you were a certain place, say if you knew it was from a building nearby or something like that, you would hit mute and it would have mute memory. So every time you went by that same building, you wouldn't get that false reading and you would just ignore it knowing that it's not an actual signal coming from law enforcement. So really love that radar, but I wanted to go back to the arrows that would signal to where the signal is coming from. Valentine actually had a patent on the arrows of which direction the signal was coming from. And then that patent ended. And then Uniden jumped on board and started adding that to theirs. So the R7, I believe, was the first one that had the arrows in the Uniden lineup. I may be mistaken, but the R7 became very popular and I picked one up. Absolutely loved it. As I mentioned, the range is insane. The radar's going off before I even see any car coming down the road. So it's pretty impressive. Like I said, that thing has paid for itself tenfold and I've been really happy with it. However, they recently, well, I shouldn't say recently, but they have since come out with a new version called the Uniden R8. So that is what we have here. I decided to pick this up. I've been wanting to try this for quite some time. And as I mentioned, I've been running the R7 for a while, and I think it was time just to pick this up and try it out. Now, all the reviews and all the feedback that I've been getting on this is that it's really not that much better than the R7, but I wanted to try it for myself. And one of the main things that I do like about this is, as you can see, the mute button is on the front of the actual radar. I'll take that one out of the box and I'll show you side by side what they look like, but the mute button is on the side on the R7. It was kind of a pain because you had to kind of grip the whole radar and press it, whereas this you can just press the front, which is really nice because I use that mute button a lot. Here are some of the features. We got auto mute memory, the radar to tell you where they go, the alert, 360 laser detection, large LED or OLED display, digital signal processing, GPS for red light cameras, voice alert, advanced KA filters, mute memory, and dual low noise amplifier. There's a lot more features and everything into it, but this thing is amazing. Again, I've been such a fan of the R7 that it was only right to try the R8. I did think about going with the Valentine 1 Gen 2, but since I had all of the mirror mounts and taps and everything for both vehicles that I use, or I use the radar in, I didn't go for that. I didn't want to change everything up. And again, I've been so happy with the Uniden that I decided to kind of stay in the brand. So let me go ahead, take this out of the box, show you the differences, and then we'll go ahead and install it in the M3. All right, so we got it out of the box. This is the R7, this is the R8. Same exact case, although this looks a little bit obviously newer. But you get the same stuff on the inside. So you get the suction cup mounts, you get the wire for updates, you get the 12 volt with the little mute button in there that you can plug that in if you want. And you also got the suction cups and everything. I don't use any of this because I have mine mirror mounted. I have the blend mount in my cars, which I'm a really big fan of. I've also used these, the mirror mount ones, which are really nice. They're much cheaper. These things are only like 30, 40 bucks. And I actually use this one in my truck, and the blend mount I used in the M3. But all right, here we go. So here it is side by side. Again, looks exactly the same, but the R7, they actually updated the overall look of it. So this one's just kind of a big block, whereas R8 is very similar, but it's got a more sleek look. Whereas on the side, that's just kind of straight across and kind of big and bulky, whereas this has got a little bit more dimension and a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit skinnier and not as big. But if we look on the front of it, it's actually a little bit larger. Now, I believe the screens are the same exact size, but down here, as you can see, this is kind of a blank space. That blank space that they use down there, they put the mute and dim and the mark buttons there. And you also got the buttons on top as well, which actually feel much nicer, to be completely honest, up here. So that's a good sign. A nice feel update to the buttons. It's not just kind of plasticky. These do feel a little bit nicer. So on the side here, those are where the buttons are in the R7. So when I had the mute, I had to reach around like that to press the button. Whereas here, I can just press it right on the front, which my opinion is a huge upgrade and much easier because I could just press that real quick. But overall, the unit looks very, very similar, a little bit different shape, a little bit sleeker in my opinion. Now, this jack on this side is different, or it's an addition in comparison to the R7. This one, we just got the main power source and then the USB port connection there for the computer, and that's it. I believe they have an audio jack there as well. But on the R8, we got the audio jack as well as that connection, which I'm not 100% sure what that is. I think you may be able to run a dash cam off of that, if I'm not mistaken. There's the normal power source there and the little USB port as well. There's the front of it, and yeah, looks really, really nice. So let me go ahead and plug in the R7, show you what that looks like, and then we'll go ahead and put the R8 in. Now, I'm not going to show you exactly how to set this up because I go by Vortex Radar. You guys probably know him if you guys are into radars. His whole thing is radars. He goes over all the setups of each different radar, of how to do it properly and get it the best performance out of your radar. So I just do exactly what it says to kind of give me a baseline and then kind of adjust it as I move on. That's what I did with the R7. I went by his settings. Loved them, worked really well, so I'm gonna do the same thing with the R8. It's an hour-long video, so I'm not gonna bore you with all the settings. I'll kind of go over them quickly once I get it all set up, but yeah, let me go ahead, show you the difference of what it looks like, at least powered up, and then I'll kind of go over the settings. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and power up the R7. Now, I have it hardwired or mirror tapped into here, so that is where I'm getting the power from. It's coming off the side here. I did a whole video on how to do that, but I'm just gonna plug it in. This is what the R7 looks like on startup. It goes through the sequence. All right, so there we go. Everything is connected. I leave it on the battery voltage here. It's nice to have that, although my display here does show that. But it's nice to have that, especially in the truck. I can see my battery voltage, which was nice because my battery was running low, and I was able to see that right here, and I ended up changing the battery a couple of months ago because of that. But we got the time and everything. Now in the menu, Vortex Radar actually instructs you to go into expert mode and advance. And these are my settings that have everything set up and how I've had it for the last few years. So if you guys are interested in any of my settings, this is what I have. I went exactly by what Vortex told me to do because I live in New Jersey and they use Ka-band. That's the signal that they do use. So I wanted to make sure that I was getting as accurate readings as possible. So I decided to go do exactly what he says. There you go. There is the R7 here. You can change all the colors and everything. Really nice. A lot of different things you can change and kind of make it your own. But as I mentioned, I just kept it really simple and did everything that he did. So, all right. Now that you got the gist of that, let me go ahead and move on over to the R8. So let's unplug this. All right, so we got the R8 mounted up. I'm just gonna put in the power source here. So this is the first time it's being powered up for me. Ooh, nice click. Wow, that screen is much brighter. Definitely brighter. Obviously the volume is louder because I like it a little bit dimmer, but this is much easier to read. In my opinion, the screen is much clearer. So that is really kind of the first thing I noticed. Also, the buttons up here are also lit up, so they're very, very easy to read and see. Now, as I mentioned, I didn't go through any of the settings yet, so I will go through everything and kind of show you them once I'm done. So I'm gonna go ahead and watch the video, get everything set up properly, and let you know the settings and everything that I settled on. But as I mentioned, that video to set the R8 up by Vortex is exactly what I'm gonna go by. If I change anything, I'll let you know, but let me go ahead and get it all set up and kind of run through it all. But so far, the screen, the way it looks is really nice. It's kind of nice and thin on the side, which is cool, instead of the nice big block that the R7 is. So I do have to adjust the blend mount a little bit. It's kind of facing up right now. So I just got to loosen it and angle it down a little bit. But let me go ahead and set it up. I'll let you guys know in a little bit. All right, guys, so I got everything set up. Now, there was no video from Vortex Radar that kind of went through the settings and what he recommended. So what I did was actually plug in the R7 into here and just kind of copied and pasted. So I did everything that I had set on the R7 to the R8. So we'll go over them real quick. Expert, menu expert, and then it left it in advance. X-band 100%, K-band I brought down to 50%, and KA I left at 100. Main volume, rear I just set at 100. The Bluetooth I left on, obviously that doesn't have it on the R7, but I'm gonna play around with the app. Left the GPS on, speed camera on, the range 1,000 feet for the speed camera. Red light camera left on, quiet ride at 50 miles an hour. PO, I'm not sure what this one is, so I just left it off. That's what the radar was set at when I got it. The voice on, KA frequency, voice off. That was really annoying. I had that on the R7 for a little bit. Basically, it tells you what the frequency is when the KA hits. Kind of annoying. Left the X band on, K band on, KA on. I can turn X off because I believe they don't really use it in New Jersey, basically just K and KA. So down in South Jersey and I believe in Ohio, they use X band. So I'm going to leave that on just in case. I'd rather get the alert than not. Better safe than sorry. Laser on, laser gun ID on. K-pop off. I had that setting on off for the R7 per Vortex Radar. Left that on. I wasn't sure what this one is, so I just left it off. K-pop on, K-pop. K-filter on, KA filter off. So I want to get all the signals from KA, so I don't want to turn that off. You can really kind of dive into this. You can dial all those numbers in, which is, again, over my head, so I just left it as is. The setting was from when I got it. Didn't even bother changing any of that. That wasn't on the R7, so I couldn't change it. K wide, KA narrow, you can adjust that. The priority for KA. A signal priority, mute mem, X and K, you can change that. All thread on, and here you can change the colors of everything, band color, time display. Scan icon, I like to leave that on. Display, I keep it on the voltage for the battery. Alert display number 1, speed, miles per hour. You can change the tones of each different band. I just left them as is. Let's see. Laser tone, auto mute level, leave it at 2 so it gets quiet but not super quiet. Auto mute, again, keep it at 2 so I can still hear it but it's very, very faint. Alert temp volume, I kept that on. I'm not sure what temperature it's alerting, but I put it on. Rear K mute off. I want to be able to at least get it just in case. Dark mode, this has a sensor so it'll dim in darker lighting, so I left that at dimmer. Auto dim setting, again, you can turn that on or off based on the time or the sensor. I left it on the sensor. Backlight you can keep on. Quiet ride, I turn that off. Quiet ride MRCD off. That's the volume you can keep it at. Limit speed, this is annoying. So you can set it at 65, and when you reach over 65, it'll tell you that you've reached over 65, so kind of annoying. This is just a time, daylight savings time. I left that on because it's daylight savings right now. Battery warning, I like to keep that on, so if I'm kind of playing in the car, it tells me, heads up, your battery's low. Battery saver, I keep that on. Self-test, so when you turn it on, it runs through the little KA band. KA band does everything. I like to keep it on. Factory reset, and that is it. So that is the version I'm running currently. I have to check if it's the most updated, but it's from October 2nd, 2024. I'm not sure if that's the latest. I will check. If not, I will update it, but there we go. There is all the settings that I copy pasted from the R7. I may play around with things a little bit to see if I like them or not with the R8. I may kind of dial things back or turn them on or off based on the usage, but I won't be able to tell until I use it. But again, I just kind of copy pasted from the R7 and I was happy with those for all the years. So I decided to do the same exact thing. So the display here is actually more clear than the R7 from what I can see right off the bat. The R7 is nice and clear, but the R8 for sure has a nicer looking screen, a better OLED, easier to read, more clear in my opinion. And I really, really enjoy the mute button here instead of going to the side because I'd have to go like this. Really annoying, especially in the truck because I had to lean forward. Now I could just reach forward and press that. I know it seems very minor, but that was one of my main annoyances on the R7, reaching on the side. So now I got it here. I got the mark button as well. So if I'm driving and I know that there's somebody always there or there's a radar gun or something, I can mark that and it'll always go off when I go by that. But yeah, Really happy with the R8. I'm finally happy I upgraded. I've been thinking about it for so long. This thing has been out for a couple years now. I finally decided to bite the bullet and do it. Now, my R7 that I have right here, this is actually sold. So I put this up for sale on my Instagram and someone snagged it very quickly. And I was like, you know what? If it sells, I'll snag the R8 and see what it's all about. All right, so I wanted to get them up both side by side so you guys can maybe see the screen difference. But the R8 screen is much more bright, much more clear, whereas the R7 is a little bit more dull, not as clear. But there they are side by side. I'm not sure why the voltage is different. The R8 is tapped into the mirror, whereas the R7 is tapped into the 12 volt there. So I don't know if there's a different voltage there. But either way, there is a difference. As you can kind of tell, the overall screen difference is much better on the R8 than the R7, but that's what it looks like. If we go on the side here, you can see the overall size difference. Now the front of the R8, it's a little bit thicker, but as you can see on the side, it kind of dips down and in my opinion looks a little bit sleeker and a little bit cleaner in my opinion. But yeah, that's pretty much the difference. Obviously the buttons on the side there, on the R8 are on the top there, but I think the screen just looks so much better on the R8. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for this one. Very short and sweet. Just kind of wanted to go over the change that I was making with my radar because I talk so highly about the R7, and trust me, I think it's one of the best bangs for your buck. If you want to kind of splurge a little bit, the R8 is very, very nice, and in my opinion, looks nicer screen. It's got the button in front, the mute button, and it's got the Bluetooth as well, which honestly is really nice. It's up to you if you want to spend a little bit more for the R8. The R7 is still a fantastic radar for the money. Honestly, it's very, very hard to beat. We'll see if the R8 is any better in my opinion, if it's worth the extra money. I will let you guys know once I get more experience with it, but that is going to do it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I will leave a link below for both the R7 and the R8, as well as all the mirror mounts and wiretaps and stuff that I use. I do have videos of how I mirror tapped it to get power and everything and kind of installing it from scratch when I first got the cars. So if you guys are interested in that, check out those videos. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. If you have any questions at all, be sure to ask them below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple. I'll catch you guys in the next one.